Hey guys, welcome back. Today I really wanted to discuss something that I've wanted to address publicly for a very long time, but I didn't really know how to go about it. Like, I didn't really want to write this lengthy Insta post or Facebook post, and obviously I didn't start this channel until really recently, so I guess now I feel like I've got the perfect opportunity to address something very personal to me, which is my experience with one of London's music agencies. Before we get going though, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'm just going to get straight into this story. The people who do know me will know that I'm always doing something. I'm always performing somewhere, rehearsing for something, releasing music, recording music. There's always something going on. And then in this last, I would say, year and a half maybe, I've just been very quiet online. And it hasn't been because I haven't been active, it's that I was doing something that I felt was like my big break, my big, like, this is the thing I've been waiting for. So, from a very young age, I have been very particular with how I wanted to make it. I knew I wanted to make it in the music industry somehow. You know, you hear about people getting discovered in pubs or whatever, and that's more of a chance thing. For me anyway, it felt like more of a chance thing. It felt more like luck or fate or whatever you want to call it. So I focused on the two options of, you know, talent contests like X Factor and whatnot, and the idea of going through agencies like music agencies and record agencies, however, more specifically artist development programs, which I will explain properly in a minute. So I've known for a very long time, many years since I was a child maybe, that I wanted to go through artist development. I don't have anything against things like X Factor and whatnot, but I am very aware that my voice is not the stereotypical soulful black woman voice. That is not to say that I am discrediting my gift or what I feel is my gift and my talent. I just acknowledge that it's different, and when I was really younger I used to see that as a weakness, you know, how am I ever going to compete with these people? But now I see that as my unique selling point. But I can't, like, I don't think anyone can deny that, like, the people in the charts who are, you know, revered almost, are people like Ariana Grande and Beyonce and Mariah, who are all about the belt and the riffiness and whatnot. And I guess, like, I was just always really different. And I wanted to be realistic about my gift, and as a result I wanted to be known for more than just a singer. I wanted to be known for being a song creator, a songwriter, a creative person. There is so much more to me than just singing pretty songs, and I felt like I would have more opportunity to explore that, or it would feel more worthwhile to me personally if I made it by way of artist development, working directly with agencies and being more in control of the creative direction and whatnot. So I just knew for a very long time that's the route I wanted to take. So I've been recording and releasing for many years, and let it be known that I have funded everything myself from the moment I started recording. For a decent, as far as I'm aware, in terms of what I have experienced, for a decent studio with a decent producer, I haven't paid any less than £250, and that's just for the day in the studio. That's not factoring in, like, if I have to travel there, you know, food for the day, because you'll be gone for like most of the day or whatever. Like most of the time you're looking at least £300 plus. So as a result, you know, I never could record that often as it was, and that only became more difficult when I moved away to university. So I moved away to uni, and recording just became slower and slower and slower, and it really did frustrate me, because I felt like the only way I was going to make any progress was if I had like a bank of music, if I could start like connecting with people, interacting with people, if I had like some sort of a collection of songs that could even be a preview to get people in the door, to get people to listen to me and to want to work with me further. And don't get me wrong, I know there's so many other routes, but this is just how it was in my head at the time when I was younger. So anyway, I've had this habit since I was very young, and the habit is that every now and again, I'll just go on Google, and I Google like record agencies or music agencies or blah blah blah, and I'll just send loads of emails out. And I think I've done that since I was really young, because you know what it's like you can send 10 emails out and not get one response. And you know, I guess the hope was that if I kept sticking my neck out for a prolonged period of time, eventually something would come back. And I honestly believe that you ask and you shall receive, 100%. So eventually I got somewhere. This was something that I considered sharing at the time, but I wasn't sure if it was actually going to go anywhere. I wasn't sure if it would be a fluke. So I just decided that I would hang on, and then, you know, if it does go somewhere, I'll do some sort of like announcement, whatever. So I've like finished my degree. For those of you who don't know, I did a degree in dance and musical theatre performance at University of Cumbria. And then I had just started my teacher training, because that was just a year-long course, and I was just thinking, you know, it's teacher training. Once it's done, nobody can take it away from me, and it's the kind of job where if I was to do it part-time whilst being creative in the rest of my time, like I would be able to earn more teaching than I would, like, obviously on minimum wage. It's not always the case, but the politics of teaching are for a different video. So I'm doing my teacher training. It's my first week. Wednesday night, I can't sleep. It's like 3-4 in the morning. So I just do my usual thing that I do every now and again, every few months, once a year or whatever. I go online, I'm having a search, and you know, I email a couple of places. That Friday, I'm in the train station waiting for a train to Newcastle, and I get a phone call, and it's from this London agency. I'm not going to mention the name because I don't want to deal with any hassle, to be honest, but anyway, so they called me, they asked me for my background, like what my experience is, what I'm aiming to do for the future and whatnot, and I tell them, you know, I've been recording for a while, blah blah blah. So anyway, they invite me down for an audition. They explain that they have an artist development program. They're taking on, I think it's like 4 people. They're taking on 4 people, and they want to invite me down to audition. So I agree to it on the phone. And if I'm honest, like, I'm the kind of person who, like, underneath the water, my feet are like, but on top I'm like, I'm cool, I'm calm. Like, I am playing it cool at this point. If I'm honest, on one hand, I'm like, is this real? Like, is this a thing? Like, is this really happening? Like, it's an artist development agency, they're inviting me down London for an interview / audition, like this is a thing, this is happening. On the other hand, I'm like, you hear so many stories about people getting conned and like paying all this money or going to all this effort or giving up their financial details or whatever, and then, you know, all turns out to be a big scam and it's not legit. So in my head I'm like, I hope it's real. Let me go down. Let me just go down, even if not, just to see their facilities for myself, meet their people for myself, like look at their equipment in their studios and meet their producers. Like, let me go down and see it in person so that I can know if this is a thing or not, if this is real. So I did it. I just got my student loan. I used my student loan to pay for the train ticket. It was about £100, because £100+ pounds, I can't remember exactly how much, but bearing in mind this was very last minute. I got the call on the Friday and I went down to audition on the Sunday. I could not afford this. My student loan, I wasn't one of those people that got a really big student loan. My student loan didn't even cover my rent through my degree, let alone anything else. So I knew that I was going to suffer for this, but I just decided to do it anyway, because I would kill myself if this could have been something and I let it go and just didn't give it a chance. So Sunday comes, I wake up, I go get the train, I'm on the train for 5 hours, which was so much fun. I get down, I go to Soho, London, I go and I find their place pretty easily, amen, Google Maps. And I go in, I walk down the stairs. It's like a little waiting area. There's like 2 reception desks or whatever. I like give them my name and I fill out my details on this like iPad with these like all this information that they need. And then I go in and I sit down with their A&R guy, and he basically explains the rough outline to me, which is basically, you know, we have an artist development program here. We're going to take on 4 people, and the hope is that you will work with our producers and we will come up with 2 to 3 songs for you, and then we will shop you around to different record labels. The only catch really is that if one of them take you on, then we will continue to represent you for a further year or 2, I think it was. Which all sounded very, very logical to me, very legit. So far I'm like, okay, this sounds good. So he asked me, you know, like, how do you want to do this? Have you got a backing track? Do you want to go a cappella? I'm like, I'm going to go a cappella. I sung a cover, or a cover of a cover. I sang the cover, I sang Pixie Lott's version of Cry to Me by Solomon Burke. It's like anyone who's seen me do an open mic night, something like that, knows that that is like my song. I sing that all the time. I love that version, it's beautiful. I sing it, he's really impressed. He's like, your voice records so well, so beautifully. He's very complimentary, he sounds very positive. He's like, if it was up to me it would be a no-brainer, but I have to take this away to the other, you know, people who decide things. And yeah, so he's like, we'll get back to you in the next week. And then the catch comes. So he's like, we invest an average of about £5,000 into all of our artists. So we ask for a contribution of about £1,700. At this point, I'm still keeping it cool. I'm still keeping it cool. I'm like, inside my heart, I'm thinking, I've come all this way just to find this piece of information out. Anyway, I'm keeping it cool. I just kind of nod, you know, I thank him for his time, I leave, I go back, get back on the train, and you know what, in my heart I'm so excited because I'm thinking, you know, this is real, like I've been there, I've seen them, I've met their people, like blah blah blah, like I've seen it for myself, like I know this is a real thing. I even met one of their producers is somebody that I already knew of beforehand, so I'm like, I know that this is a thing. So I haven't even got the okay, I haven't even got the phone call to say that, you know, we're gonna take you on, blah blah blah, but I'm already like, I'm ringing around at family members and I'm like, look, this is a situation, this is my big break, like this is my opportunity, I need to come up with this money, can anybody help? In the end up, a few people decide to chip in, and then I decide that I will get this money from them, and then I will pay off so much of it with my student loan. Once again, I could not afford this. I could not afford this amount of money. But in my head, I'm like, people like have to sleep on their friends' couches and sell their cars. If my suffering is having to figure out my rent for a few months, then I will happily take that over what some people have to deal with. That is on it. Like, I know it's a bit dramatic, but that is honestly what I was thinking. So I get the money together. I get the phone call inevitably saying, you know, we're going to take you on. We're really happy with your audition. Bearing in mind it was recorded, so people have listened to it and they've decided to take me on. And so like I need to send like the first £1,000 before it's like an official thing, before I can start working with them. So I send off the money and I start making the trips down to London regularly to work with their producer. It's all going pretty well for a while, to be honest. We get like, I go down a few times, we get the first song done, and then it's halfway through the second song, at which point I'm like, I'm starting to think like the end is nigh, you know. Okay, so I'm starting to think like, what's gonna happen next? Like I kind of roughly know based on what they told me, but you know, what happens if I don't end up getting signed? Like, do I have the rights to this music? Can I still put it out? Like, could I still like sell it and like make money from it independently? Like, I'm like, you know, what are the next steps? Like, am I going to be expected to contribute more, or like what are they going to fund? Like, all of these thoughts are starting to go through my head, and at this point I realize that I haven't actually seen any contract or anything in print. So I mentioned it to my producer, and he's like, well, why don't you, like, we're in the studio at this point, and he was like, well, why don't you just ask them to see your contract after this? So I'm like, all right, well, simple enough. So we finish our session. I go outside. Nobody's at the desk at this point. Like, they do a lot of, like, music tuition things as well there. So I think, like, something was going on anyway. So I just left, and I thought, you know, I'll give them a call or I'll email them or something. So I leave. I send them an email, no response. So I'm like, well, fair enough, they're like busy, I'll send them another email. So I sent them another email, no response. At this point, I'm like, okay, I'll call them. I'll call them and speak to them on the phone, because I need to book in my next session anyway. So I call them, I speak to them on the phone, and I'm like, I book my session, and then I say, is there any chance I could be sent a copy of my contract? I can't remember specifically how the conversation went, but it ended with a whole, like, we'll send it to you, like, either by email or post or whatever. So I wait and I don't hear anything. So I go down for my next session. I have my next session, I go to the desk afterwards. This time someone's there, I asked to see it. They asked me for my details, they asked me to write it down, and they're like, I'll check it over and I will send it to you through to your email. Nothing. At this point I'm starting to get very worried, mainly because when I was in third year, I did my third year final musical with director Ian Good. He is a very successful director. I think he's been on the West End and all over the world and whatnot. And I remember asking him a question about modelling agencies, so slightly different. I think at the time he had been talking about how he made it in the industry, talking about when he did the Bounty advert. If anybody remembers the Bounty advert from years ago, those two old men dressed as women. Yes, one of those was him. And he was telling the whole class about how he would make money while he was, you know, working his way up. And he mentioned, you know, like modelling agencies love black women. So this sounds like a detour, but it is relevant, I promise. So I've gone and like browsed for modelling agencies, thinking, you know, maybe this would be a good like side piece. You know, I could take his piece of advice and do a bit of modelling or whatever on the side, you know, ads and whatnot, to make a bit of money while I'm working my way up and whatnot, and get a bit more experience under my belt. And the one piece of advice he said, the moment I said to him, one of them got in touch with me and were like, we want to take you on, but you'll have to pay a £75 registration fee. The moment I said that to him, he said, no. No. If any agency asks you to give money up front, you say no straight away. He said, bear in mind I'm paraphrasing, this was a while ago, but he basically said if it's a real legit agency, they won't ask you for money. They'll make commission off of what you earn, but they won't ask you for money up front. I so regret not listening to that piece of advice. I thought about it, if I'm honest, I thought about it a lot, but I guess, I'll be honest, like a part of me was just so excited and so thrilled at the fact that, you know, I've been waiting for this for so long. I'm like, how old was I? I was like 22 or 23, 22, one of the two. I'm like, I'm getting older. I know I'm not old, but in terms of music industry, like people are making it when they're 14, 15, 16 with record labels. At this point, I'm like, this is it. Like, this is my moment. And I think I overlooked that very important piece of advice, and at this point, you know, having all these issues, not being able to see my contract after handing over all this money, I'm like regretting my life here. So in short, I started to refuse to go. I refused to book another session until I saw my contract. And if I'm honest, at that point, like contact just ceased. We haven't had contact in a while. Yeah. So basically, like, it's sad because I essentially wasted a year and a half of my life working with a record agency thinking that this was going to be my big break, not really working with anyone else, because realistically I'm still studying. I'm doing my teacher training at this point, bearing in mind. So I'm doing my teacher training, I'm studying full time, I'm working in a school part-time as part of my placement, and I'm travelling down to London here, there and everywhere, and I'm literally lesson planning on the trains to and from London. I'm essaying on the way back. Like, I am trying to make this work so hard because I think that this is really going to be it. And as much as it was like the £1,700, it was also the £100 I'd have to pay every single time I went down there, because the maximum amount of notice I ever got was like a week or two in terms of recording sessions, and then even that, like, I would have to then scrape together the money. So by the time I got the money together, it was so late. I was paying £100+, and then you're away from home all day. So even if you're taking food from home, you need to buy the food to prepare the food to take it with you. So either way, I was investing a lot of money in this. So to invest all that money and get to a point where I'm like, what am I actually entitled to? I don't know. Like, I don't have this in writing. It was like, it was real kick in the face moment, and part of me takes responsibility because I'm like, well, there are certain basic things that I should have done, and this is where my advice comes in. I'm like, get it in writing. Get it in writing first. There is no shame, and if they have nothing to hide, then they will happily show you your contract and what you are entitled to. And secondly, I repeat what Ian said to me. If a good agency will take commission off of what you earn, but they won't ask you for money up front. You see it all the time with an example, an extreme example is bigger artists. We're talking UK top 40 artists, and you see that they sign like $4 million record deals. You know, they get a $4 million advance. You know, the record label is paying them to work for them, do you know what I mean? And here I was investing money, and I know that it's artist development and it's slightly different. But regardless, I do think that is a really big indicator of which agencies are legit and which aren't. So yeah, it's a lesson learned. I think the sad thing is that I spent a year and a half recording with their producers. I never got any final cuts of music or anything like that, so like, it's kind of like a year and a half of creativity wasted, because now I don't hold any original material for the last year and a half. I have songs that I've wanted to release for a while, and I've just kind of been waiting, and then maybe I felt like that wasn't really my style, maybe I felt like it wasn't really for me, and whatever. But yeah, right now, I guess like I'm kind of like, it's like being back to square one, which is tough. It is tough. The reason why I wanted to share this is because it's really important to me that people know that I am as serious now about music as I ever have been. And me being radio silent wasn't just, you know, me giving up or, you know, doing real world stuff as much as I was. Like, I still had to, you know, pay bills and whatnot, and even now, like, that's the hard thing. I still have to pay bills and run a household and whatnot and get around and go to work and stuff, and in that sense, like, I don't, like, life is just a lot harder. And once again, you know, I fund all of this myself, so it's not as simple as me going off to record whenever I want, which I wish it was. And it's partially why this whole YouTube thing started, because it was because I had a conversation with myself that I do that a lot, and I basically said to myself, like, what happens if you never make it? What happens if you never get signed? And at that point, like, my heart sunk and I got really teary, if I'm honest. I got really emotional, because it's like I've been working towards this one thing for my entire existence. I never actually thought I would get to this point in my life and not be signed, I'll be completely honest with you. But I've been out of education for a year and a bit now, and I'm trying to make real life work and whatever. So I'm thinking, I asked myself a question. I asked myself, what's your priority? And I would also advise you to ask yourself this question. What is your priority? Is it being rich and famous, or is it living a life of music? Because those two things can look very different. I really had to get real with myself about what my actual intentions were and what I actually wanted. Thankfully, I knew that for me, my priority was living a life of creativity. That was it. Obviously I need to be able to live, and that is just that's just life. Everyone's got to pay bills, everyone's got to pay rent. It's just the way it is. And so of course there is a part of me that hopes that at some point I can make a bit of money off of it. But and who wouldn't want to, you know, have a career doing what they love? But do I need to be on the UK top 40? It would be nice, but no. So I feel like acknowledging that is what gave me the courage to start this. Really. It was a case of, do you know what, if I do YouTube, at least I can release as and when I want. It's not going to become any easier to record more often. It's not, I'm not making tons of money right now. Like, that is not a thing, and I don't anticipate it being a thing. If not, like, maybe 5 years down the line, if this is still going down, then like maybe then. But for now, like, it's not something that I am expecting. But this is just a way that as and when I do music, I can release it on my terms. I don't have to buy into the sex sells industry. This can just be all me, and it can be what I want it to be, and I can explore so many different aspects of creativity that I enjoy. And so yeah, it was that thought process that gave me the courage and the confidence to start this channel. I hope that I do a good job. I know that I still have a lot of growing and learning to do. I'm still learning about cameras and lighting and all that stuff, and at the same time, you know, I'm working as a teacher, which is not easy. But I'm doing it and I'm making it work, and I know that over time I'll get there, so prayers appreciated. But yeah, so that is my experience with the London Music Agency. I hope that people will take my advice and learn from my errors and my mistakes. I know that I will definitely make different decisions in the future. But yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy everything I do have to offer. I repeat, it is not all going to be a new song every week. I'm currently trying to get used to recording covers at home. I'm like struggling to get to grips with it, but I already have, like, I've been buying like tech for a while, and I've got like a few microphones and whatnot, so I'm working on that, and hopefully I can get to a point where I'm releasing at least like a cover every other week or whatever. That's my hope. But yeah, other than that, I'm just going to explore things that I enjoy, that fascinate me, that I want to learn more about, and I hope that you enjoy coming on that road with me. So until the next video, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye!